And now for these next two picks, as we round out our draft, number 5 and 6, I feel like these players have an outside chance if we're thinking of the same guys. But it would be very exciting if one of them won this trophy. So who are you taking in the number 5 spot, Casey?
Yeah, for me, it drastically drops off at these next two picks. But dark horses for sure. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of torn. I'm going to go with Devin Levi in the end. I'm a little skeptical because goalies are complete voodoo, but Levi's looked good in every stage of his career since the World Juniors. And I think he's in a pretty good situation and a good position to succeed in Buffalo and hopefully kind of have a similar outcome as Stuart Skinner last year on, a team that just happens to win a lot of games and maybe not all because of goaltending. So we'll see how the team defense of Buffalo has improved this year. Last year, if this was the same conversation, I would not be feeling very good for Devin Levi because they got absolutely shelled when it came to scoring opportunities and shots. So hopefully the improvements that the additions they brought in, another year older, everything like that is going to work out in the favor of better defense. And then therefore, I think, Devin Levi can have a good season. And Stuart Skinner was second in voting last year. So I wouldn't be shocked if Levi got some of those votes because, wins, and he's going to play a considerable amount of games in this tandem this year. So, they love to vote on goalies and that's why I'm taking them.
I am shocked, to be honest, that you're taking a goalie. I thought you would be completely against it, just given the fact that they're so unpredictable. And I remember going back a few years, us having the conversation whether we thought Ilya Sorokin could win the Calder Trophy because we knew that he was going to be sort of an overaged goalie coming in, but still Calder eligible. And he had a great season and didn't receive as many votes as we thought. But then I guess to that point, Stuart Skinner last year finishing second, maybe tides have changed for goaltenders. But listen, Devin Levi, I think that's an okay pick at number 5. He's going to see a lot of shots, and if he wants to win games, he's going to have to stop a lot of those shots because I don't really trust the team defense of the Buffalo Sabres as much as I trust their team offense, which is, out of this world. So if he's going to win a lot of games, which I think he very well could this season, he's going to have to stop a lot of shots, which, as we know, goals saved above expected is a counting stat. That's a good thing. You see more shots from more dangerous opportunities. Your number in that category goes up. And save percentage is also one that is going to be considered by the voters. So yeah, I could see it.
That's kind of where my thought process was with the Buffalo Sabres. Stuart Skinner, he had 29 wins last year playing for Edmonton. So if Devin Levi can have 21 wins for Buffalo this year and gets absolutely hammered with shots, and that results in a save percentage around a 910, 913. I think Skinner was 913. So those stats I think are fully possible in Buffalo, and that's why I took him. I also kind of wanted to go a little wild with this last one. Like I said, I don't really expect either of these last two picks to win it, so I thought it'd be fun to take a goalie.
Yeah, fair enough. And Harper, who's not on this episode, would be happy that you're picking a member of his Buffalo Sabres in Devin Levi. Of course, they've had some pretty good rookies in the past, notably two very good defensemen, Owen Power and Rasmus Dahlin. But yeah, as a goalie in Buffalo, win a lot of games, maybe you get some votes for the Calder Trophy. The one thing I will say to wrap up on this number 5 spot is that he is in a bit of a trio situation. So I don't know how that will impact his games played. I think they want him to be the number 1 or at least one of the two in a tandem. But, there's also Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen sort of knocking at the door, and Eric Comrie as well, who, I don't know, did they place him on waivers? Are they carrying 3 goalies? I'm not too sure at this point. But
I don't know the situation there, but I just highly doubt that they run with 3 in the end. Comrie got shelled last year. 3 years ago, he got shelled as well. And Levi, they want him to be the guy, so they're going to give him every chance early on. It's just up to him to take it.
Yeah, they like him a lot. And I feel like it could be a situation like in Philadelphia where, they had Carter Hart as their young stud goalie coming in, and they really had no one else. So they just played the heck out of him. Maybe that's the case with Levi. Who knows? Okay, going to the number 6 spot now and wrapping up this episode and our draft of Calder Trophy candidates. Again, we're in the dark horse territory now, and I'm between 2 players, and there might be an honorable mention or 2, but sticking with your reasoning, picking Luke Hughes, I have to pick Matthew Knies of the Toronto Maple Leafs as the 6th most likely player to win the Calder Trophy this season as Rookie of the Year. Last season, playing for Minnesota in university, 21 goals, 21 assists, 42 points in 40 games, NHL E of 53, if anyone's paying attention or cares. He had 1 assist in 3 games last year in the regular season for the Maple Leafs, but he had 4 points in 7 games in the playoffs. And, as we know, 57th overall pick in 2021. He's 20 years old, so he's a little bit more mature than some of the other rookies coming into this year. He's 2 years removed from his draft class. He's 6'3", 217 pounds, at least listed as that on HockeyDB, and with that website you never know, but he's a physically mature player who's going to get an opportunity to play in the middle 6 on a really good and dynamic offensive team, playing with the likes of, perhaps throughout the season at times, Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, John Tavares, William Nylander, and he'll also be getting second power play reps as well, and honestly might be sort of a fixture on that second power play unit as well. So I think he has a decent opportunity to put up some points. Obviously not as much as a player like Connor Bedard, who's going to be the number 1 center and the go-to guy in every situation. Obviously the Maple Leafs just aren't in that same position. He's physically mature and he's produced relatively well at every level he's played at. So I think he has an outside chance to win Rookie of the Year, though even though I love the player, I probably won't be betting on it.
Yeah. Funny enough, I did have him ranked at number 5, so you took another one from here. But I kind of switched last second because, again, I think it's going to come down to how they choose to use him. And I think if he's in the top 6 all year, then move him up this draft board. He's going to have weapons to pass to on line 1 and 2. It kind of, evens out a little bit with the other guys when you get into the third line with Toronto. So I also wasn't 100% sure if he's getting a ton of power play minutes either. So again, it was situation. I just thought, I'll go with Levi, make it a little more fun. Plus, I wanted it to be that all 3 of our teams have a guy in this draft,
true.
Which is funny. But Knies looked good last year. He looked good in the preseason again. So hopefully they play him with someone who he can really work with and find some chemistry with. And I think he can put up a lot of points. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, well, you know what? Right now, he's slotted into play on the left wing on the third line. And down the middle, story of the Maple Leafs camp this year is going to be another rookie, Fraser Minton, who is a year younger than Matthew Knies. Those two seem to have great chemistry, but it's not necessarily for their scoring connection. It's mostly for their transition play, their forechecking ability, and their defensive ability as well. Both of those guys kill penalties, admittedly not on the top unit or even the second unit, maybe not even the third unit, but they have the ability to kill penalties as well. Both fast, smart, good, decently defensively responsible players with good sticks. So it'll be interesting to see.
Were you talking about Knies and Minton, or
yes.
Capo Caco and Lafreniere? Because that's the situation that I'm worried about. You know what I mean? They're both playing on the third line together. They have good chemistry together. They are defensively sound. I was like,
well, listen, wouldn't it be a lot better to have 2 second rounders playing that position than 2, one first overall player and 1 second overall player? Yeah. So. But that's sort of the situation that they're in, where they can move up. Both of those guys can move up in the lineup. Knies, I would assume, before Minton. But they're also trusted to play in a bottom six role, which is why they're both sticking around on this team. And a guy like Nick Robertson. Who, scores goals, but can't really do much else, has been sent to the American League, at least to start. I think he'll be up and he'll have a point per game in the American League. They'll call him up and he'll do well. But yeah, so Matthew Nyes is the 6th pick. I have an honorable mention. I don't know if you have any, but I wanted to share one before you snag him up from me. This was a player who I thought could have been drafted in this top 6, and I debated taking him, but that's Luke Evangelista of the Nashville Predators, slotted into play on the 3rd line on the right wing, plus 2,500 odds right now to win the Calder Trophy. Last year in the American League, he had 41 points in 49 games played. That's an NHLE of 58. And in the NHL last year, he played 24 games and had 15 points. This is the oldest player that we've talked about this episode. He's 21, which, by the way, I thought he was even older than that. He was drafted in 2020, 42nd overall. And he's 6 foot, 183 pounds. So he's physically mature as well. So this is a player who is going to get lots of opportunity in Nashville, playing on the power play, and he's gonna be trying to score some goals for this team, because who else?
That's exactly it. And he is someone that I looked at when I was doing a little bit of research for this, and mostly because of his AHL points last year as well as his NHL points.
Yeah.
But he's going to be one of those guys they look to be a trigger man on this team, and that's what they need. But I kind of thought the same thing about a Eeli Tolvanen in the past and a Philip Tomasino in the past, and it didn't work out for those two guys, to the extent of Calder predictions. Yeah. So I don't know. I kind of backpedaled last second with that one, but that's definitely a good shout at like kind of a dark horse type situation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I bring up the player because, it's Nashville. It's not like they have like set weapons in their top 6. Evangelista if he plays 1 or 2 weeks where he's just putting goals in the net, all of a sudden he's a top 6 player. All of a sudden he's getting 20 or say 18 minutes a night, and he's playing in offensive positions. So you never know, and that's why opportunity is maybe the biggest factor, one of the biggest factors when considering Calder candidates. But I thought that was a good honorable mention. Do you have any other players who you think could be an honorable mention for the Calder?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have to mention Leo Carlsson, but for the same thing of situation, we keep mentioning this. That's why I backed off of him. He is hurt right now for one, but he's also going to be, the 3C. He's coming in straight from Europe. He's got to adjust to the North American game, North American ice. So that's a situation there, but he's got the toolkit to win the Calder. That's for sure. You talk about size. Well, this guy is massive and has the scoring touch. We saw it in Sweden last year as an 18-year-old or 17-year-old. So wouldn't be surprised if he got healthy and got hot in Anaheim and, got into this conversation.
Yeah, another couple players I can think of are, one being Shane Wright. He got cut from the Seattle Kraken. He'll start the year in the American League on that special exemption, playing with the Coachella Valley Firebirds. Took me a second to remember that name. He'll be there if maybe he gets some time and really lights it up in the NHL when he gets a call up. That's one player. Brant Clark is another player, defenseman for the LA Kings, also got cut, sent down to the American League. Who knows if he gets an opportunity in the future. Same exact situation for Simon Nemec, got cut from the New Jersey Devils. Maybe he gets a call up halfway through the season and gets a good opportunity and produces. So those are 3 players that I thought of who unfortunately didn't make their teams out of camp, but are touted as highly skilled, highly talented prospects who eventually will make an impact, whether it's this season or next.
Yeah. Also shout out like dark horse Logan Stankoven, because I love him. He's just become one of my favorite little prospects, just the way he plays the game. So he's going to be playing on a really talented Dallas team, and there's been a lot of young guys who have succeeded there recently. So he could be another one, and he looked really good in the preseason.
Yeah, you'll love the Stank Oven, have ever since World Juniors, and the love lives on.
He's an engine.
He is. He goes.